Hello, everyone. I am Fyruz Khan, and today I'm back with a new class. So let me show you the chapter. So today we are doing Business Studies Cambridge A2. In the last class, we had a bit of organization structure left. We finished that and we've moved to a new chapter, which is chapter 15, Business Communication. Very, very important. I mean, communication means the way you deal with people and the way you handle people, manage people, and if you don't communicate effectively, probably you will not be able to achieve your business objectives. So it's a very important chapter. It has 40 slides, so we can finish it in 2 days. I have targeted to finish half of the chapter today, right? So again, for your information, we follow this book, which is referred to us by uh, British Council, Cambridge. This is a core textbook. We cannot follow anything other than this. We cannot use any material from any website, any pages. No, we need to follow the textbooks that are mentioned by Cambridge. Everything is taken from this book and from nowhere else. All the teachers of Cambridge who teaches business studies uses this book worldwide. Okay, so yeah, so my slides, everything is based on this book and other core textbooks mentioned in the Cambridge syllabus. Okay, okay. So today, as you can see on the screen, our lesson objective is to finish these three topics. So today we are going to touch three topics, and those three topics are, first of all, we're going to look at what is communication, okay, and why is effective communication important? Why is it so important? And then the third topic is, what are the different kinds of communication methods? Okay. You have oral communication, written communication, IT and web-based, and also visual communication. So these are our targets. Yes, three targets. So we are going to achieve these targets by the end of the class. Okay, great. Let's go. Okay, let's start with a diagram. So communication. Whenever you start any kind of communication, first of all, you have a sender here, a transmitter, a sender who sends a message. Let's say you want to send a message to your employee saying that um, you need accounts information by tomorrow 2 p.m. Okay, so when you send a message, there is a purpose, right? There's a purpose. There's a use of something. You need something. Yes, that's why you're sending the message. So you're the sender, and there's a certain aim, right? So you send the message, okay? You send the message. Now, when you send the message, you have to use an appropriate language or medium. You can write it in our mother tongue, native tongue, which is Bangla. You can use English. Yes, you can use any other language that you both are familiar with. If the receiver knows how to read and write French, and if you also know the same, then you can write the message in French. But you have to understand that you have to understand the capability of the person. If that person does not know French, then there's no point of writing French, right? So most common language that is used in our country is Bangla and English. Yes, so use Bangla, use English, and transmit the message. So let's say the aim of your message is you want all your main accounts information or balance sheet by 2 p.m. Okay, um, so there we go. So you choose your appropriate language, appropriate medium. Now, appropriate language, you also need to make your language simple. Simple ভাষায় কথা বলতে হবে। এখন যদি difficult ভাবে বলা হয়, for example, whenever I communicate with someone, I try to understand their point of view. Okay, if I'm communicating with someone who is, let's say, not so good or not so familiar with English, then I will tone down my language. I will use simple words in English, or I'll just use Bangla. Okay. Now, if I'm writing an email, or if I'm writing a message to a college principal or to a university principal or to a managing director of a bank, then my tone of language will automatically change. It'll be different because I'm writing to a bank manager. I'm writing to a principal of a university or a college. So I'm guessing that they will be, better educated. They will be well informed. Okay. So but then if I'm writing to someone else, then of course I need to tone down my language. So you really need to understand, you need to be empathetic, you need to understand the other people's point of view. Okay. And of course, medium. This is also very important. Medium. Now, let's say you're sending a text message to your employee. You need the balance sheet by 2 p.m. Now, if this person does not use email, then it's pointless to use email. Now, this person uses text message. So send the message using normal phone text messages. তাহলে মেসেজটা তাড়াতাড়ি পাবে. That person will open the message. Now, if this person uses WhatsApp, send the message through WhatsApp because that will be delivered and seen by the receiver quickly. Okay? So try to understand what kind of language to use, what kind of medium to use. Now, if you don't check your email address and if I keep sending you emails, is it going to make a point? I will waste my time. So I have to understand, I have to analyze, okay, let's say, আমার এই এমপ্লয়িটাকে মেসেজ পাঠাবো ও কি ইউজ করে, what this person uses, and then I will send the message. Okay. Then this message, and then you have receiver. So you're sending a message, you want the balance sheet by 2 p.m. and it goes to the receiver using appropriate language and medium, and the receiver will receive the message. Okay, will read the message. Now, if you have sent the message using the right language, if you send the message using the right medium, it can be text message, it can be email, it can be WhatsApp, it can be a video call, then the person will definitely receive and understand the message. And a message will be effective. A message will be effective, will be very effective when you get some kind of feedback, when you get some kind of response. Your employee may tell you, okay, I will do it by 2 p.m. or can I get some more time, till 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. and then you reply. So a complete message, a proper communication, will be considered when you will have all these steps: sending the message, you have a certain aim, using appropriate language medium, a receiver will receive the message, and then you will also get feedback. Without feedback, you really don't know what is happening. Without feedback, there's a sense of, I would say, uncertainty. Pelo na ki pelo na, bujlo na ki bujlo na. It happens to us, right? When we send a message to someone, if someone does not reply, if someone has seen the message but does not reply, you become a bit anxious. You don't know what's happening. So there is an uncertainty attached to it. Yeah. So there you go. And there may also be barriers. Majhe moddhe message jay na, right? You want to send emails, you want to send text message. The message may get lost in between. Because it's technology. Technology breaks down a lot. Because of tech issues, your message is not received by the right person. So there may be barriers. Message may get lost. There may be tech issues. There may be other issues as well. So this is an overall, you can say, summary of the chapter. So I just wanted to start with this so that to give you an idea of what the chapter is going to be, when we go ahead. So let's go to the first slide. So where an effective communication happens when the message is sent by the receiver, understood by the receiver, and there's a feedback. So you have a sender, you have a clear message, you have a medium, the way you send the message, oral communication, written communication, using email, WhatsApp, voice message, video. Nowadays, we have a lot of options. You have the receiver, the person who receives the message, and then feedback to confirm, okay, I will do the balance sheet by 2 p.m., or I will do this by 2 p.m., or uh, you know, um, just a feedback. Because I think without feedback, uh, this loop will be incomplete. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Um, so effective communication. I was talking about this, and effective communication can only take place when you have sent the message properly in a simple language, using the right medium. There'll be no barriers. The receiver will also understand the message. Okay, and the person will also send feedback. Okay, so that is that can be considered as an effective communication. Okay, and effective communication can only take place when there's an exchange of information between you and me, when there's an exchange of dialogue between you and me. Otherwise, you can never have effective communication in place, right? So there we go. Great. It's a great chapter. If you have any questions, please write down here. I can see everything that you write. And you can also post anything in the group chat if you want. Then the question is, so if we go to our lesson objective, we have talked about what is communication, right? So we are now tackling the second objective of our lesson, which is this one. Why is effective communication so important? Now, effective communication is so important because of staff motivation. Just think about if your boss, or if no one talks to you at your workplace, then what is going to happen to you? Are you going to be demotivated? Are you going to have less productivity? Are you going to, feel bad? Of course, yes. Okay, so there we go. So when you communicate with people, workers will participate. They will be encouraged. Effective communication will take place, and and everything will be more productive and efficient. So staff motivation, because when you talk to people, when you exchange ideas, when you eat together, sit together, work together, it'll motivate you. It'll make you feel good, because that's a human nature. It's mentioned in Maslow's theory. It's mentioned in Herzberg's theory. We want to be a part of the of the social norm and the culture. Yeah. And therefore it's very, very important and pertinent, to communicate effectively and discuss effectively, right? So there we go. Then when you also communicate, there's an exchange going on. And through that exchange, the second point, through that exchange, a lot of ideas may be shared. Because if you don't talk, if you don't communicate, we may not get good ideas. So we need good ideas. So yeah, that's the second point. Speed of decision making. Okay. So the more people who have to receive and react to message, the slower. So you also have to keep in mind, like when you have more people who will receive messages and react to a message, the process will be slower, right? So when you receive more messages, that means you also have to give feedback to more messages. So speed of decision making is very, very important. You have to be very quick. If you receive 100 messages a day, that means you also have to give 100 feedback. So the speed of decision making has to be, more. It has to be at a greater level, because if you're slow, then it'll make the overall system very slow, right? And you can't afford to do that, especially in a company, especially in a business. Okay, so yeah, speed of response to market changes. Okay, if you have to change something in terms of consumers' demands, if you take long time, then you will also take long time to address those issues. So the speed has to be greater in decision making. That's why effective communication is so important. Whenever you receive a message, whenever you receive a query from your customer, from your client, from your suppliers, you should reply them immediately or as soon as possible. না হলে সবকিছু স্লো হয়ে যাবে, ডিসিশন মেকিং স্লো হয়ে যাবে, and সবকিছু খুব আস্তে আস্তে যাবে. So it's very important, if you receive any messages, any phone call, any feedback, if they're waiting for your confirmation, you need to do it as soon as possible. Because if you don't make that decision quickly, then you will not be able to help your customers. Probably they're waiting for something. You will not be able to clear your payments. You will not be able to, let's say, address your suppliers' issues. So all those things are there. So yeah, so there you go. Um, it also reduces the risk of errors. Incorrect understanding of a poorly expressed message will lead to incorrect responses. Okay, so when there's effective communication, it reduces the risk of errors. So communicate. If you don't understand anything, ask them 5 times. Ask people 10 times. So it reduces the risk of errors when you communicate always, right? For example, if you ask someone to make a piece of furniture, now let's say this carpenter is not sure of what you wanted in the first place, or of your decision. It's always better for him to ask you, not once, not twice, not thrice. They should ask you 4 or 5 times. Okay, you can also communicate. For example, this is a very simple example, right? Asking your carpenter to make a furniture, you can show a picture, a visual picture, that this is how I want. This is the exact thing I want. Because when you're dealing with these kind of people, when you're dealing with orders or suppliers, your communication needs to be very accurate. I'm telling you from my experience. Okay, so আমি যখনই এদেরকে আমি বলেছি যে আচ্ছা আপনাদের মতন করেন, এটাও হতে পারে ওইটাও হতে পারে, তখনই ভুল হয়েছে. So you have to be very accurate with them. Show them pictures, show them what you want, tell them exactly what you want, emphasize on the important stuff. Okay, so this will help you to reduce the risk of errors. Okay, so if you don't communicate, the possibility of errors occurring will be more high. Okay, and then of course, when you communicate, there'll be more coordination between different departments. Because think, in a business, there are different departments, right? You have marketing, you have finance, you have administration, you have operations, you have this and that. It goes on and on and on, right? But these are different departments, but they all have to work together harmoniously. They all have to work together to fulfill the objectives of the business. They are separate departments, I know, but they have to work together. So if you don't communicate, how are you going to coordinate between different departments? So communication is so essential. And these are the reasons why effective communication is so important, right? It motivates staff. It generates more idea. That's number 2. Number 3, speed of decision making, speed of response. It reduces the risk of errors, and there is effective communication between different departments. If you have any question, you can write it down here. You can also post a private group that we have, right? We're doing great. So if we go back again to the first slide, we've talked about what is communication. We've talked about why is effective communication so important. And now we will talk about oral, written, IT and web-based and visual communication. And we will end the class. So we have reached our final target, and we're doing quite well. So going back, okay, what is communication media? Okay, so communication media is basically the method that you will use to communicate a certain message. Okay, now different methods, the choice of the method used to communicate a message. Now it can be different, right? You can choose oral communication. Oral communication means having one-to-one conversation, right? You can choose written communication. You can write on a piece of paper, just like this. Okay. We also have IT and web-based communication nowadays, which is a very, very popular. We also have visual communication, right? So let's start with oral. So oral is one-to-one conversation. It can be interviews, it can be group meetings, it can be team briefings. Yes, so it can be a lot of things. Oral, you're talking to one each other. The good thing is that if you look at the second point right here, the good thing is that it's a two-way communication. As I told you, for a communication to be effective, you need to exchange information, right? I should tell you something, you should tell me something. If I'm wrong, tell me what is wrong or tell me what you've not understood. In oral face-to-face communication, what happens is both persons are there right in front of each other. And if you've not understood a certain section of the message, you can always ask that I have not understood this. Can you clarify again? Or can we do this? Can we do that? So it's a two-way communication, and feedback is solid. Okay, you get feedback right there and then, and that's why you will always see business people, they want to meet you up front, because I feel this is more this is more effective. That's what I feel. And it's quite instantaneous. It happens right then and there. Evidences are there. Who attended the meeting, who received the message. Everything can be retained. Right? Okay. And when you can see the person, you can also see that person live. There's a body language, with body language, with appearance, with dressing up style. You can make certain assumption of the person, because whenever we are doing whenever you're conducting business on a regular basis, you want to be careful. You want to see everyone, and sometimes you make decisions based on person's body language, the way people speak, the way they carry themselves, the way they dress up. It's true, right? Everything matters. আমি করি আমি আমি দেখি একটা মানুষ কিভাবে represent করছে, the way they are talking, or the way they have represented themselves. Especially, I'm a bit uh, uh, I'm always a bit strict with dress code. If you know me, you know this really well. So yeah, so this is oral communication, one to one, group, face to face. Yes. So just let me switch off my Facebook. It's really I'm so sorry. It's really bothering me. Okay, we're back. So this is oral communication. Yes, but however, there are some disadvantages too. Sometimes it can be ambiguous. Ambiguous means it can have double meaning. You may not have understood something. There are no written evidences. There are no written evidences like this. If you write an email, I have an evidence that you've written this. So there is no written evidence unless and until you have a CCTV. If everything is covered, then that's fine. Okay. Sometimes, for technical matters, it's not appropriate to talk orally. Technical matters, like if you're designing something, if you're designing a computer, or if you're designing your house, it should be in terms of drawing. Yes, of course, you need to give ideas, but then after that, it's not important to meet personally. You need to look at designs, right? So it may not be appropriate for technical matters. Okay. Sometimes it can be really costly because you need to go and meet this person. You may not be in the same city. You may not be the same country. Okay. It takes up a lot of time. Okay. Sometimes people are different. Sometimes body languages can be different, and this can also have a certain negative impact. Okay. These are the negatives. These are the disadvantages of oral communication. I feel the second one is more appropriate. It's costly, it's time consuming. You may be in a different city, you may be in a different country. Sometimes it's not possible to communicate technical matters. You need to do it through presentations, through visual charts. You can send it by email. So all those things are there. Next is written communication, something like this. I use small notes like this in my office all the time. Yeah, again, if you know me that I use these things a lot of time. My desk is on the other side, and you will see a lot of small notepads, just small written notes, scattered all over the place. Many of them, like me, I like everything to be written down. You can use letters. There are different kinds of written communication. You can use letters, you can use memos. Notice boards is also a communication. Okay, but it's a one-way communication. Notice board. Um, there's a notice board, you put on something, and that's it. Okay, and there's no feedback. You have to understand the appropriateness of the medium that you choose, right? So that's that. So choose letters. Choose. You can choose letters. You can choose memos. You can choose notice boards, reports, diagrams, meetings. Yeah, because in corporate offices, everything needs. Everything needs to be written down. Everything need to have a certain evidence, as far as I know. So written communication is very, very important. Okay. Even notice board is also written communication, but it's a one-way communication. Okay. Reports are quite famous. Reports are used. So I know that. Okay. Um, and written communication can be referred to more than once. If you have, let's say, written down something, you can come back after 10 months, you can come back after 2 years, you can come back after 1 year, and you can check it. And especially now, if you have computers, if you've stored your material on your hard drive or on the cloud, we can save it on the cloud. It will be there forever. So it's a very effective method, because on সময় বলে, hey, proof koi, evidence koi. So you can show them, this is what you've told, this is where you've signed, you've sealed, so you have an evidence. It's solid evidence. Okay. But however, there's no voice used. There's there's no body language. Then when you send email, you don't get feedback immediately. You have to wait. That's a big disadvantage, this one. That's a big one. Okay. So yeah, and sometimes there's no evidence that, let's say you've written me an email. I've received that email. There's no evidence that I've understood the email. Probably I have received the email. It'll show in your mailbox that I have received the email, but it'll not show whether I've understood the message or not. Okay, until and unless I write something to you, I give you some kind of feedback. So that's an issue, but that's why you really need to understand the end user. And I will suggest everyone to write, if you're writing English, uh, try to understand the end user and do not use complicated language structure or complicated language, because অনেকে বুঝতে না পারে, so simple ভাষায় লেখা উচিত. Okay, so that everybody understands. I use simple language all the time, just normal, simple, plain English or Bangla. Okay, so that everybody can understand. So it has to be universally accessible. Okay, keep that in mind. So we've talked about written communication, we've talked about oral communication. Now we'll talk about IT and web-based, and this has created a revolution, right? Email, it's so fast. Okay, think about, let's go back 30-40 years. Now, if you had to write something, you had to post it on a mailing address. If you want to send a letter, and that could take anything between 1 week to 1 month, or sometimes even 2 months. Today's generation will not understand, who are born after, let's say, 2000 or end of 90s. Yeah. But I went to a boarding school, and I used to write letters to my mom. And sometimes it used to take 1 month for the letter to reach my mother. Okay. And then she used to reply me back. And then again, it used to take 2 weeks or 3 weeks for her to write, for her letter to arrive in my boarding school. So yeah, but with email, I can write an email and it'll be there in 5 seconds or 3 seconds. and that person can open it and reply back to me. So IT has changed the way we communicate, and it's being used everywhere. And it has become so popular because it is so cost effective. It is so affordable. You just need to have an internet connection, and internet connection is very cheap nowadays. You can just have a 3G or a 4G on your phone, and that's it. You have the world on your fingertips. So the main benefit is affordability. It's cheap, speed. It's very fast, right? So you can use internet, you can use WhatsApp, you can use Skype, video call, web conferencing. If you have a smartphone, then the world, you know, is inside your pocket basically, right? And you know, during the lockdown, see, I'm teaching you in my study room. I don't even have to come out of my house. You know, I can sit here and I'm teaching you using all different kinds of technologies. Teaching you through Facebook. I'm using a streaming service here. You know, different tech components coming together and providing a great service. So, and it's very, very cost effective, right? If you want to do international business, IT and web-based medias, electronic media are so important. Even I'll just elaborate a little bit. When I was studying, when I went to college in the UK, when I was studying in the UK, I had to call my mom back in 2008 using a calling card. But then when WhatsApp and Viber became famous in 2010, 9 or 10, everything changed. আগেকার দিনে আমার ফোন ছিল, কলিং কার্ড কিনতে হতো £5 দিয়ে, and then ওটাকে স্ক্র্যাচ করে নাম্বার ঢুকিয়ে তারপরে ফোন দিতে হতো. But now, because of WhatsApp and Viber, you don't need to do anything. It's integrated with your number. If you have internet, you can basically literally call for free. That's it, right? So it has changed how you do businesses, how you communicate with people. Okay, yeah, it has massively increased the speed. However, since it's technology, you need to train people, right? Especially, this is just an assumption. I don't agree with this, but you know, younger people are more familiar with tech, how they work, right? They're probably more proficient and efficient in using tech. And you know, older generation, they have grown up with something else, so they may not be so efficient. So that's the disadvantage. Sometimes it may reduce social contact, right? I haven't met you guys for the last 4 months, so that's not good, because sometimes, you know, you're just isolated, because social structure is about meeting people, talking to people, right? It's all that. Employees may use time to send personal messages, or use Facebook, or use any other stuff on the internet. So that's not good. Okay. You cannot use body language. You cannot see that person up front. That's a disadvantage. Okay. And of course, the last point, there's security issues with computer technology. They may hack your account. Something may happen. There may be virus. Okay, somebody may have access to your information. So there are always these kind of risks. But then I think IT and web-based media has taken over. Literally, they have taken over. And wherever you go, they will ask for email address. And wherever you go, they will ask whether you're available on WhatsApp or not, whether you have Skype account or not, or Zoom account or not. So think about that. Okay. And also there are more disadvantages. Sometimes it's so accessible, so I can send WhatsApp messages for free or email for free. So there can be an overload of information. I can send you 10 emails, and it takes a lot of time. And this is happening, right? When you get up in the morning, you have so many Facebook notifications, you have so many emails. Ogula reply korte kortei time chole jay, right? So there may be an overload of information. And the important message can get lost in between, or you may forget to reply to that important message, right? Let's say you have 15 new emails in those 15 emails, you probably have one or two emails that are very, very important, and you may forget to address those emails because you had an overload of information. So think about that, right? And then comes visual communication, presentation. Like, I'm giving you a presentation. No, my presentation is very basic. Visual communication is so important, right? Especially when you have to show charts, when you have to show figures, diagrams. You can use projection, you can use projector and show it on whiteboards, interactive whiteboards, uh, because when you see things visually, you understand it better. And big companies, it happens, right? They will ask you to give presentations, right? I just did a course, as you know, CELTA. We had to give presentations. It was a must. It was necessary. It was mandatory. Okay, so you of course you can speak. It can help you to deliver your oral message more effectively. Let's say you're trying to say something, but then you can use pictures, presentations. You may have a nice PowerPoint. Okay, you can use diagram, pictures, charts, images. Images are very, very popular. Okay, so that's that. Right. I think today we have finished our target, and a chart is there, strengths and weaknesses. Please have a look. We finished around 19 slides, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 19 slides. We finished, as I promised you. We'll finish half of the chapter. So if we go here, we finished this. What is communication? We've talked about why is effective communication important, and we've talked about the advantages and disadvantages of oral, written, IT, and web-based and visual communication. If you go to slide 19, there's a chart given, 18 and 19. Have a look, right? Great. If you have any question, you can post it here. Okay, if you have any question, you can post it here. And I can take it for you. You can post it in the group as well, right? Thank you very much. I'll see you again. I have a class in 15 minutes, so I'll be back. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you.